Kim Jong Un's pauper sister says talks with the U.S. are possible if Washington drops denuclearization demand. Kim Yo-jong, sister of North Korea's leader Kim Jong Un, attends the worst line ceremony at Ho Chi Minh Mausoleum in Hanoi, Vietnam, March 2, 2019. So, South Korea CNN. New talks between North Korea and the United States are possible if Washington drops its demand that Pyongyang rid itself of nuclear weapons. Kim Jong Un's pauper sister suggested in a statement released by state media Tuesday. Kim Yo Jong said the relationship between her brother and U.S. President Donald Trump is not bad, according to a statement released by the state run Korean Central News Agency called KCNA, leaving room for the two leaders to resume a dialogue from Trump's the first term that saw them meet 3 times. Their first meeting yielded a deal in principle to make the Korean peninsula free of nuclear weapons, but relations faltered when later meetings did not result in movement to relieve the international sanctions imposed on Pyongyang over its nuclear program. Since then, Kim Jong Un has continued to test and grow his nuclear capable missile forces. Kim Jong Un's sister said Tuesday that Pyongyang would not compromise on the nuclear issue and that any future talks with Washington would be predicated on the U.S. in recognizing North Korea as the nuclear state, something which has historically been a red line for Washington. Any attempt to deny the position of DPRK as the nuclear weapons state will be thoroughly rejected, she said, using the acronym for the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Donald Trump earlier this year seemed to acknowledge Kim Jong Un's nuclear program, calling North Korea a big nuclear nation. But in response to Kim Jong Un's sister's latest statement, a White House spokesperson gave no hint Washington would compromise on Pyongyang's nuclear arsenal, saying Trump remains open to engaging with leader Kim Jong Un to achieve a fully denuclearized North Korea, Reuters reported. Experts see little hope for any resumption of dialogue between Pyongyang and Washington. It's difficult to expect the U.S. to drop its denuclearization policy towards North Korea, as doing so would likely have significant and negative effect for international non-proliferation norms and the security of allies. Louis Eric Easley, professor of international studies at Ewha Women University in Seoul, told CNN. Considering Trump's personality, there is a possibility that Trump could make a bold decision to make the achievement during his presidential term, but the U.S. cannot ignore how South Korea and Japan would react, said Hong Min, a senior research fellow at the Korea Institute for National Unification in Seoul. Also, even if Trump makes the bold decision, North Korea might be skeptical of whether the next U.S. administration would maintain Trump's decision, Hong Min added. South still the enemy. Kim Jong Un's latest statement came a day after she seemed to preclude any easing of tensions on the Korean Peninsula, saying South Korea remains the enemy of North, despite a recent move by Seoul to ease tensions along the 38th parallel. North Korea has no interest in talks with the South, no matter what proposal is offered, Kim Yo-jong said in a statement released by KCNA. Kim Yo-jong's comment marked North Korea's first official response since the new South Korean government took the office on June 4th, following months of political turmoil over the disgraced former leader Yoon Suk-yeol's martial law declaration in December. Yoon Suk-yeol said the martial law declaration, which the National Assembly rescinded after 6 hours was necessary to fight North Korean influence among opponents to his leadership in the South Korean government. Conciliatory overtures made since President Lee Jae-myung's election hadn't erased how South Korea's military alliance with the United States had stained the southern half of the Korean peninsula, she added. The new South Korean president reaffirmation of a U.S. alliance shows that there is no chance for improved North-South relations, the statement said. Kim Yo-jong said the new Lee Jae-myung administration would be little different from Yoon Suk-yeol's government, describing what she called its blind trust in Seoul's alliance with Washington. There can be no change in our state understanding of the enemy, and they cannot turn back the hands of the clock of the history, Kim Yo-jong said in Monday's statement. A South Korean army tank is moved on the pontoon bridge during the U.S.-South Korea joint river crossing exercise, which is the part of the annual Freedom Shield joint military training near the demilitarized zone separating the two Koreas in Yeoncheon, South Korea, March 20, 2025. Former President Yoon Suk-yeol endorsed a hardline stance against Pyongyang, bolstered by strong South Korean-U.S. military relations, which included the ramping up joint military exercises, seeing assets like a U.S. Navy ballistic missile submarine and aircraft carriers visit South Korean port, and participation in trilateral military exercises with Japan, also on North Korea 4, as well as the U.S. In a first official comment on North-South relations under the Lee Jae-myung administration, South Korea's Unification Ministry on Monday said Seoul would continue to look for ways to engage with Pyongyang. Unification Ministry's spokesperson Koo Byung-sam noted that Kim Yo-jong's comments were not essentially hostile or mocking compared to her previous statement on inter-Korean relations. But Koo said it shows that Pyongyang is closely watching the Lee Jae-myung administration's North Korea policy, while the wall of mistrust between the two Korea is very high. In an attempt to ease tensions, Lee Jae-myung's government has suspended a loudspeaker propaganda broadcast along the demilitarized zone and stopped the distribution of South Korean leaflets dropped from balloons into the north. In 2024, North Korea scrapped a long-standing policy of seeking peaceful reunification and blew up roads and bridges that could link the two countries as relations soared. In response to the road destruction in October, the South Korea military opened the fire within the area south of the military demarcation line, while announcing it was maintaining full readiness posture under cooperation with the U.S. But the new South Korean government will be less reactionary, said Koo, the Unification Ministry spokesperson. The government will constantly make efforts to create inter-Korean relations of reconciliation and cooperation, and to realize the coexistence of peace on the Korean Peninsula without being sensitive to North Korea's response, he said.